All right, Ethan. I did this once already this morning. And I did the whole video with the microphone off. So, let's try this again. All right, the definition of an angle. I know you know what an angle is, but we're going to get into the big time geometry of it. So, it's the figure formed by two rays that have the same endpoint. I cannot believe I just did that. And you know how we talked about busting it up into smaller pieces, and maybe that would make it easier to upload to YouTube? No, I didn't do it. I forgot and just did the whole thing. It's like 40 minutes worth with no microphone on. Okay, so here's a ray, there's a ray, there's their common endpoint. That's an angle. So there's different parts of an angle. There's a vertex, which is the most important part. That's like the hinge. That's the point. That's the endpoint for both. And then the two sides are the two rays that come from that endpoint. So it'd be ray BA and ray BC in this diagram. Okay. All right. There's ways of naming an angle. So naming an angle doesn't mean describing an angle. Like I'm not saying a right angle or obtuse. Those are descriptions. I'm talking about like your name is Ethan. So when I say your name, everybody in the room knows I'm talking to you. So this would be like on a diagram. How would everybody know exactly which angle I'm talking about? So the easiest way is when there's no confusion. Let's just call it by the vertex. We call it angle B. All right, and I do my angle symbols like this. I'd say most people do them like that. Don't let it look like a less than symbol though. So it's like, say here's your paper. The bottom needs to be flat and it needs to sit on the bottom line of the paper. So it's not like it's lifted up and looks like a less than. But I like to put the arc because otherwise mine just sort of look like other things. So that's just the way I write my angles. There's angle B, or we could work down one side and come up the other. So you could also call it angle ABC. Or you could go the other way. We could call it angle CBA. All right, so we can classify angles according to their measure. So these are descriptions of angles. Acute angles are angles that measure between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. So I know when you're younger, they just teach you it's an angle less than 90 degrees, but negative numbers are less than 90 degrees, and not all negative degreed angles are acute angles. So a right angle has a measure of 90 degrees, and when you draw a right angle, the little box lets everybody know it's a right angle. An obtuse angle has a measure between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So, something like that. And then a straight angle has a measure of 100 degrees. 100 degrees. What am I talking about? 180 degrees. And so here's our common endpoint. That's the vertex. We've got one ray going this way, one ray going that way. So we have two opposite rays. This is 180 degrees. Now, I'm bad to be lazy about this, teaching 8th grade math. I'll be like 180 degrees in a line. There's really not 180 degrees in a line. Okay, lines don't get measured in degrees. Angles get measured in degrees. There's 180 degrees in a straight angle. A straight angle is formed by two opposite rays. A straight angle looks like a line because remember we were talking the other day about, points don't have size. So there's infinitely many points on this line. You pick any random one, like that one right there, and you say that's your vertex of a straight angle, or it's the endpoint of two opposite rays. Like all that looks the same way. Like here is your angle of 180 degrees. So that's why people say there's 180 degrees in a line, but again, you can't measure a line in degrees. That's only for angles. So what I should say in the 8th grade is that there's 180 degrees in a straight angle, and maybe I'll try, but I think people might get confused. A straight angle, what's that? I don't know. I'll think about it. All right, before I keep going, let's try this one out because heavens to Bessie, I don't want to have to do the whole thing again. Maybe I'll do a page at a time. That might work. All right, so let's try. I'm going to stop my screen